The Port St. Louis front part, you can see our moorings, and behind the first pier, it's anchorage. If you want to anchor, that's where you got to go.
And they also have their resident population of troublemakers, noisemakers. There's our boat. And the depth's about 30 feet?
Yeah.
Yeah? About 30 feet here.
As out in the ocean, blowing 30 to 40 as a gale warning. Out here, it's barely any wind at all. So it's really good protected from the north, northwest, even west. But I guess in the winter, when it southerly comes, it's not so good at anchorage. So
They said all the anchor boats pretty much clear out.
it's really good for summer times, but winter most boats leave 20 miles north into
Morro Bay, yeah. Although the forecast for the outer waters had gale warnings, closer to shore from 5 to 10 miles out, they were predicting 10 to 15 knots, according to passage weather. So it looks like our time in Port St. Louis is coming to an end. We'll be leaving early tomorrow morning for Catalina Island. So we're just passing Point Arguello on our way from Port St. Louis around Point Conception and to Catalina. This is the only other traffic we've seen out here today so far. This power boat. It's pretty quiet out here right now. Not much wind, very light, and it's kind of bumpy out, but not too bad. It looks like the sun might be coming out. We just passed a couple of oil platforms, and that's about it. Not too exciting. There's been a gale blowing out here for the last week. We've kind of been waiting for it to die down, and it did today, so we're getting the remnants of the waves, but no wind. It's supposed to pick up this afternoon though. There's one of the oil platforms out there. A couple more coming up on our way. We left our anchorage in Port St. Louis at 4:30 a.m. as we wanted to round Point Conception by noon to avoid the strong afternoon winds. There is often a lot of fog in the area, so it's good to keep a close lookout for the numerous oil platforms as well. So it's a big day. We're rounding Point Conception. The wind just starting to pick up. We probably have about maybe 12 knots from the northwest. Otherwise, it's been pretty quiet. We're going to go around the corner here, and there's an anchorage called Coho Anchorage. It's a good place to stop on your way south if you want to rest, and on your way north if you want to wait for the right weather to continue. There it is, Point Conception. We're just cruising along here. The Coast Guard just went by, and we saw one other yacht, and that's pretty much it. There's Jules sitting back there. He's happy.
Back in the Southern California after 2.5 years.
We're ready to start stripping off our clothes and getting some warm weather for sure.
2.5 years tramping around.
We're on our way to Catalina. Once you turn the corner at Point Conception, you'll take a sharp eastward turn. Then there is just plain sailing weather, and you'll have more worries about not having enough wind rather than all the gales further north. We finally arrived at nice sunny Catalina and dropped anchor at White's Landing. First thing was to clean our bottom and then a dinghy ride to Avalon.
So like Susan says, we're going to Avalon to shop. Avalon is 3.5 miles from here, south. And we just hate to pay $60 for a mooring, plus all those rules and restrictions. And right in front of Avalon, water is 100 feet plus, so it's not very practical to anchor with all chain out there. So we decided to take a dinghy ride. So it's going to take about 15 minutes or so to drive a dinghy there. We're going to do the shopping. I'm going to get an internet signal and also the cell phone. We'll probably stay down there for a couple hours and then turn around and come back. Out here, White's Landing is really a nice place, protected, especially when strong northwesterly winds blow. Here is more protected than Isthmus, two harbors. It's the other side of the Cat Harbor, especially when it's strong north builds up little chops in the harbor, so it's much more protected out here. This place is really nice except for easterly. Santa Ana blows. It's kind of a very, very dangerous place, so you have to clear out in a hurry, but that's happened very seldom. So long as you pay attention to weather reports, you should be fine. Here we're anchoring in 55 feet of water. All the good anchor spots are taken by the moorings, and I guess if you come here for 1 day or two, mooring will be okay. But if you want to stay here a month and pay $60 or so for a mooring, it'll have to be a pretty penny.
Yeah,
so
expensive.
Anchoring, and that means you got to be in the water usually around 50 feet. So we got down here 220 feet of chain. So with a big anchor and a good amount of chain, you are safe.
Right now we've got variable winds that just happen to be blowing from the southeast, about 10 to 12 knots. so
we're waiting a little bit till they turn southwesterly, what they forecast for today, and then we should be able to go towards Avalon.
We'll show you that when we take off. There's a famous Avalon casino. The harbor was busy as usual, and we were happy we made the decision to stay anchored in White's Landing. We slowly made our way to the dinghy dock, examining all the different boats along the way. Avalon Harbor is quite large for Catalina. The moorings are privately owned, so it's good to reserve your mooring ahead of time, and even then you may be asked to move if the owner should show up. They also have special discounts on the moorings available in the off-season as well, and it's not as crowded as the summertime, so it's actually a better time to go as the weather is still very nice. We're just approaching the smaller of the two dinghy docks. The main dock is much larger but usually very busy. Here's a nice little view of the harbor and the tiny beach, and I mean very tiny beach. It's about a 10-minute walk to the Vaughn's grocery store. We really needed to stock up on fresh foods as we hadn't shopped for quite a while. There in the background is the main dinghy dock and the harbor master's office. There is also a place to leave your trash. There's Vaughn's. Time to do some grocery shopping now. We finished our shopping in Avalon, and now it's time to head back to Emerald Steel. The ride outside the harbor is usually kind of bumpy. After all, you're on the ocean. goodness. Load it up. Put it in the back of the boat. The following day, after stocking up on groceries and cleaning the bottom, we decided to sail around Catalina. The weather turned cloudy and overcast from the previous day, but the winds were good, at least for part of the trip. By the time we arrived in Two Harbors, the weather had cleared. We dropped our anchor in the southeast corner in front of the small beach, one of our favorite spots. If you want to anchor inside the cove in shallow water, you have to anchor bow and stern. Otherwise, you can anchor outside the cove with a single anchor in 60 plus feet of water. The next thing on our to-do list was to get some laundry done. They have a small laundromat here, and it's pretty reasonable too. On the weekdays, the harbor really empties out, and there are plenty of moorings available. It's no problem to anchor farther away from the landing if you have a good inflatable and a dependable outboard. Actually, it can be quick and quite enjoyable. There are other advantages to being anchored away from the other boats. Many of the larger yachts tend to run their generators a lot, and we don't enjoy breathing their fumes, not to mention all the loud music. Peace and quiet, that's what we're looking for. Once you're outside the mooring area, you can open up the throttle and really go. Well, we finally ran out of chores, so now it's time to enjoy and relax aboard our little ship. So that's it for now. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please don't forget to leave a comment and a thumb up. We love hearing from you. And before we leave, we'd like to thank all of you that support our channel through Patreon and PayPal. We really appreciate your support, guys, and we will see you all next time.
Bye-bye.